Bailey, how's it going? Taking a look at your piece here. I think we spoke, I got some drawings in here from when we were talking, but everything here is looking like really nice. I think I've focused you on the eye mask stuff. I'll give you some little tiny body notes that I have, but I don't think they're super huge at this point. I feel like everything's mapped out and it's working really well, like all the acting beats and everything. So I'll get into some stuff, but hopefully you can put the majority of your time into starting to work on the eye mask and taking passes at that, and then soon we'll be into the phoneme shapes. All right. So breaking this down bit by bit, phrase by phrase.
Yeah, what's your deal? I haven't seen you before.
Oh, yeah, I just transferred.
Okay. So I feel like this first part.
Yeah, what's your deal? I haven't seen you before. Yeah, what's your deal? I haven't seen you before.
Is working really well. There may be some like little things to clean up. I know we had talked about that before, like going into the curve editor, wherever there's like little jittery stuff and ironing it out. I feel like there's a little jittery thing happening with the head here. Like if you're gonna go forward with the body before we like roll the torso back, that's fine. That's fine to do that, but you're gonna need more than just like one pose to communicate that. You know what I mean? Once you're done with kind of like the torso stuff, so if you want, okay, so let me give you very specific advice on this because I don't want to be overly vague. I feel like here there's a lot of like maybe like micro things kind of happening with the torso, and I don't know that you necessarily need all this happening with the torso, these like tiny little things, like from 14 and before, right? I feel like you could just take all that torso being just like one pose and it would be fine. Here there's some little stuff happening that sort of indicates this like backwards weight shift, which is nice. I'm feeling that. That feels nice. But then let me take another look. Okay, cool. Yeah, all this is nice. I think, we'll get into spline and then it'll get really smooth. So I'm not going to worry about any like little thing. But yeah, this part here, I would leave the shoulder down and forward so you can leave the elbow planted on the leg here. Kind of leave the arm in a similar position, the hand and everything in a similar position to where it is here. Just so it looks like that's maybe where the push off is happening from. Or at least I feel like that would come last. Here I don't know, it feels like the neck and head are coming forward, but I don't know if that's coming out of the torso or not. But what I would do is try to leave like the head in a similar position. Maybe that's just a neck rotation or whatever, but I'd try to leave it in the same position as where it was before instead of having it go forward. I do like how you're dragging this crown and everything on the pullback. That's awesome. Keep that, please. And then everything about this looks good. I think maybe once we get into spline, we can maybe like work the timing on that ever so slightly, but overall I think it's looking good. And it certainly isn't where I feel like your efforts should be spent now.
Yeah, I just transferred. Yeah, I just transferred.
So when I watch this without the audio, the shoulder shrug and everything feels really good. But when I listen to it with the audio, I feel like it's late. I feel like it should be around 134. is when it should start. So I would just take the clavicle and all that shoulder shrug animation you have and move it forward. I feel like it should be on the front half of transferred instead of on the back half of transferred.
Transferred. Yeah, I just transferred.
And it can just start here. It doesn't have to end here. Because with the way you have it, it's like it's pretty sharp how it starts. It goes from here to here in just one pose. You know what I mean? It goes from its lowest to its highest in one pose. So maybe you can start it like around here. You know what I mean? It starts to and I'm not saying it should happen over like a ton of frames. It should be a relatively quick gesture. Oh, maybe this is your anticipation into it, but then it holds for a long time. So maybe your timing of it isn't really that off. It's just we're missing some in-betweens like here. Like this could be almost all the way up, and then we're all the way up. You know what I mean? So maybe that just needs some in-betweens instead of a retime. Okay, cool.
Just transferred. It just transferred.
Yeah, but I think the head gesture with it should also be moved up a little bit. Maybe not. It's hard for me to say without seeing it all kind of put together, but it's just something to keep an eye on. Just however it feels to you. All right, moving forward. Let's find this phrase.
I just transferred. I honestly like.
I'm just going to leave it here.
Yeah, I just transferred. I honestly like.
Okay, cool. So all this is great. There's one thing that kind of catches my eye in this section, but it's pretty small. It's right here as they're coming forward. It feels like it's just we need a ease in on this move here, because it feels like I imagine the back is kind of like there, and then it's there, and then it's there. But then it just kind of, it may even look like it goes backwards a little bit right there from where it was. So I think we just need a tiny bit of an ease out. So instead of here, I think we just need it to be a little bit more of an ease, because again, we have to think about this whole rib cage head assembly as being like this bulky, heavy part of this character. So it's not going to start and stop instantly or effortlessly. It's going to take a frame or two or four to kind of like settle and slow down out of these moves, right? So that's just a little tiny thing. Other than that, I feel like all that looks great. So moving forward, let me hear it with audio.
I guess you could say I'm kind of like a wayward soul who's finding myself.
Cool. I feel like there's a lot of great poses in here. We just need to like hit a pose, like get into a pose and kind of have just like a beat. So a beat is kind of, I think it's 8 frames. Somebody just informed me of that. Half a beat is 4 frames.
I guess you could say I'm kind of like. I guess you could say.
So I like this gesture. I guess you could say, and she pulls back a little bit there, right? Like basically she's taking her weight off of this arm here, right? Which is where her weight was before. She's like putting it back onto her spine.
I guess you could say I'm kind of.
So I think instead of like pulling her back continuously here, I think this frame here, I would have this more match this 294. And it doesn't have to be exact, but I feel like this is, it feels a little bit like it's drifting and not really like holding in this. I'm just talking about you know, reducing this kind of movement a little bit so she can like kind of live in a pose a little bit more than like just pass through it.
Kind of like a wayward soul who's finding myself.
And then
I'm kind of like a wayward.
and then I like it going kind of like here and pulling back, right? I feel like this is another great one, but then I want to live in this pose just for a little bit longer.
Say I'm kind of like a
So you're going to get to it faster, right? Going between here and here.
wayward soul.
Now I just hang onto it. Let's see, 325, huh? Yeah, I would stay in that pose till like here a little bit. Sorry, but it's just kind of like living in these poses a little bit more than like moving, you know, being comfortable like living in these beats. So it's like you're going to be kind of in the same pose from 294 to 304 instead of such a large change here, and then kind of in the same pose from 317 to 325 instead of just keeping all this everything moving all the time. Like you want to find places to like accent the phrase, and if it's moving all the time, you have no contrast between poses and movement. So like the attitudes being expressed kind of get a little weaker. Yeah. All right. But those are tiny suggestions.
A wayward soul who's finding myself. I guess you could say I'm kind
Yeah, and the rest of it's solid. So that's all I got. It's not huge. It's not a lot. It's just a little more refinement, and hopefully you are doing a pass on the eye mask for next week. That's what I'm hoping, because I think that you're in a good spot to try to start, you know, working on that performance aspect of all this and nailing that down. So, yeah. Anyways, hopefully all this makes sense. If it doesn't, reach out. I have office hours and all that good stuff. But you're in a great spot with this, I think. Just keep moving forward. Look forward to seeing your progress and seeing you in class next week.